Hey, it's Liz D'Alto, and this is the Untamed the Wild Soul Woman podcast. From body image, sex, spirituality, money and relationships, to motherhood, creativity, business, communication, and desire, Untamed the Wild Soul Woman is the place to come for real stories and powerful advice to help you reclaim and redefine womanhood in the 21st century. Welcome to episode number 132 of the Untamed Wild Soul podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth D'Alto, and you all know this about me by now if you've been listening for a while, but I'm basically excited for every single guest. But every once in a while, there's someone who I'm even more excited about than usual, and today's guest is one of those. This is a really, really close friend of mine, Rog Law. It's one of my favorite interviews ever, because Rog is one of my favorite humans ever. He is soul family to me, a hilarious person, and someone who I love to jam on the full range of life topics with. And that's exactly what we do in this conversation. By trade, Rog is someone who technically works in fitness. He has his own podcast as well, and he's all about helping people look good, feel good, and have amazing lives. So in this interview, we talk about health and fitness. We talk about habits, discipline, showing up. We talk about one of our favorite mutual authors, writers, and icons, Bruce Lee. We get into how we became friends, the concept of killing the revolution, which is really interesting. And you may have to turn the volume down when he answers the first question, because I laughed harder than I think I ever have on the show before. I'm even laughing now just thinking about it. Oh man, it's so good. He also shares his self-guided course of study into masculinity over the last few years. So this one's really fun and really informative. So enjoy. Let us know what you think of it. The show notes are going to be at untameyourself.com/episode-132. And as always, you can come on into the Facebook group at untameyourself.com/Facebook to let me know what you thought and if you have any questions. Let's go. Yes, I'm so excited. I was so pumped up all morning. I was actually at the gym, which this makes sense that I'm pumped up during my workout to interview my good friend, Rog Law, because any conversation I ever get to have with Rog feels like two kids playing on a ridiculous playground. Talking about life, jamming on what's going on. We were exchanging a couple of text messages about what we might possibly talk about, and then we just decided to riff on it. And my final message was, untame yourself, son, which is going to make a lot more sense as this conversation progresses. So I gave you an intro before we started, so people kind of know a little bit about you already, so I'm diving right in. What do you love about being a man?
Damn. All right, we're jumping right in. I didn't even hear the intro. All right. Oh, this is good. All right, what do I love about being a man? Okay, this is my own phrase, and I'll explain it. It's called dick magic. And let me, it's good. It's good.
I can't wait to know what this means.
Dick magic. See? See, I hit you even harder with it this time.
So for anyone listening, here's what happened. My internet is actually kind of funky. I don't know what's going on at the house today, which is why for those of you watching, not listening, there's just a picture up and you're not seeing us because we had to turn off the video so we could actually get the interview going. And so we're redoing this. And so the spontaneity of the answer died a little bit. So that's what he meant when he just said hitting me harder with it this time, because that was a real that's what she said.
I know. I set you up on multiple levels there.
You
which
really
is the whole
did. So tell us,
crap.
What do you mean by dick magic?
Well, I will explain to you, and I hope it makes sense in my head. It might not make sense in anyone else's, which is fine with me. But it's like that quality as a man where all the magic comes from like the dick region, and you can live it. It's like, that. The leadership abilities, not that women can't, but we do it in a different way. It's like being able to take care of people, being able to fuck a motherfucker up if you need to. It all comes from that region, and I summed it up as dick magic.
This is amazing. And so do you, I know you and I, we geek out. We exchange what book are you reading, what's going on. We talk about most of this via text message of like life philosophy. What are you studying? What's going on in your world? So have you studied anything ever about like energy or the chakra system or anything like that?
Have I studied it?
Yeah. Are you familiar with it at all?
I'm familiar with it, and every time I feel like it's one of those things that I need to keep hearing more and more for it to make sense. Because the first time I heard it, I was like, this is too woo for me. I don't what. And then the second time, I'm like, okay, I think I'm getting it. And then like I went to a meditation retreat, and they were all about it. So I got like a heavy dose of it, and they're talking about we got the heart chakra, we got the. I'm like, okay, all right, this is making more sense. But I'm not super familiar. No.
Cool. And it doesn't. The reason I was asking is because Dick Magic actually does make sense on an energetic level, even though it also sounds hilarious.
See, that's really what Osho needed to talk about. He's just like, you need to talk about dick magic. It's the message can get out there a little bit more.
Because that was the meditation retreat you went to was in like an Osho modality, right?
Yeah, it was. I only had seen his quotes on memes before, and then go to a camp that's all about the practices. It was intense.
How did you find that, or why were you even looking for as a dude? I mean, and again, I don't mean to classify this as like dudes aren't interested in that stuff, but you do hear it less than with women who are constantly going to things like that. And again, not all women, but probably women listening here are more interested in stuff like that. Why were you even looking for a meditation retreat, and how did you choose that one?
So it was funny. So are you familiar with Elliot Hulse?
Yes, actually, I
Yes.
need to get him on the podcast.
I know, right? I'll be listening to that. So I've been following him for years, and it's funny. I was never actually on his mailing list ever because I don't like my inbox to be cluttered. Even with stuff I like, I'm like it's too much stuff coming in.
Hmm.
So I found out about him back in 2011, 12. Been following him since. Didn't sign up for his newsletter until the day before he sent out the meditation email. So I had no idea he was doing anything like that.
That's
I was just
cool.
like, hey, I want more of this info in my inbox. And then the next day, he just sends it out. And I was like, you know what? Why? It just felt like, hey, I've always wanted to meet him. I was always wanted to interact with him. I wanted to dive deeper into meditation because I started earlier this year with transcendent. Oh my
Transcendental
goodness.
meditation.
Thank you. Yes, that. And I was like, all right, I like it. I want to see what else is out there. And it just came at the perfect time. And it was wild. It was very different from anything I've done. And it was very like it goes along with kind of the things you talk about, like getting in your body. Like
Hmm.
is that on crack?
Yeah, because
Because
what's
that's
it
the whole
called?
point of dynamic meditation.
And there's a couple different like phases and parts of it, right? Can you just describe it?
Yeah, okay. It's ridiculous. Like, because I went in there and went in with an open mind, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll be fine." And then we start. I'm like, "This is more wild than I anticipated." So the first stage, if I'm getting it right, it's like the charging up phase. So you're breathing in through your nose and breathing out through your nose, like super fast, like you're
Hmm.
trying to get all of the boogers out very. It's like I wish I'm glad there's no video now because I'll do it. It's like, but even faster and like
Uh-huh.
forcefully, and
Yeah.
you do that for 15 minutes
Holy.
straight.
Wow.
And like my nose was on fire, and I'm cardio, it's kicking up. I'm like out of breath, and so you do that for 15 minutes just to kind of charge things up from my understanding, and then the next phase is more like a release, like a cathartic release. So it's lots of shaking, and you can yell, you can do whatever you want. People were like slamming pillows, yelling. You just really move your body. And then the final stage, or the third stage, I believe, is just silence, like right after that. So it's like all this chaos, and then poop, drop off, and and each stage is 15 minutes. I believe there's one more, and I'm not quite sure what it was, but that's how we started every morning, like straight up at 5:30 a.m. It's like, all right, wake up, get mad hype for an hour. Like people aren't even having like I'm glad I'm not a coffee person because I can't imagine those people must have been dying. But right after, you just feel amazing, and we look around, and the sun's rising, there's birds chirping, and everybody's like, "What just happened?"
How long were you there for? How long was the retreat?
2 days.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I'd be super curious. I'm fascinated by breath work, but I haven't studied it a lot or anything like that. But I think it's actually incredible for the metabolism. I think it actually burns a lot of fat, but I don't have any studies or science or evidence to support that. It's something I have heard. But on the other end of it, I think that for some people, it could actually really blow you out energetically because you're saying it and you're a funny person, just like the way you talk, everything is hilarious. But when you're saying like getting hype, you actually are really flaring up a lot of things in the system that I don't know for every human should be actually getting flared up.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a very like stuff came up for me. I was like, man, I didn't know this was there. But
Hmm.
thankfully, I had been like doing other things. Like I was open to them. Like, all right, okay, I get what's happening. Keep going. But if that's someone's first experience, they might be overwhelmed by it. They might be scared by it, and just they need someone to help guide them, which is cool because they had facilitators at the camp that put
Yeah,
on these things all around the world, which is helpful. But definitely like breath work. Have you heard of Wim Hof?
I have. I don't know what it is. What is it?
He's the Iceman. So
Oh, yeah.
he yeah, that's his jam. So the gist of like there is something to like body fat and breath work and on cold temperature and things like that. So that's his jam. He likes to breathe and get into cold environments and just chill out there. Like he hiked um I think it was Mount Everest in shorts. He did some real white people stuff. That's exactly what I thought when I was like, that's white people stuff. But I got real excited. I was like, okay, all right. You got no shoes, no shoes, no shirt. He just in some shorts. Okay. But he has an online program that guides people through just like cold shower therapy and breathing.
Yeah.
And the most exciting part was the breathing, actually, because it's like 3 rounds of breathing in all the way breathing out up to a count of 50 or 100. And
Whoa.
then on that final exhale, you just let all the air out and then you hold your breath as long as you can. And I like that. It sounds dumb when I say it. I'm like, holding your breath is kind of scary. Because
Now,
you.
if anyone's ever done any kind of breath work or even any kind of meditation, I think all of these things, and it sounds so extreme, but for people who are super up in their head and really not able to be present, sometimes it takes these very extreme things to just interrupt your patterns, do something different with your physiology, and just like pop you out of your where you have been to even get it's like you need this pendulum swing so that you can actually come back to some kind of it's not balance, it's not equilibrium, but it's just like a more like regulated state, I guess.
You're like grounded, just like, all right, you're
Yeah.
you're back here now. You were somewhere. You were up there
Yeah.
with balloons floating around. Let's come back down here.
Yeah. So
And yeah,
go
it's great. I love it.
so this is one of the things I love about you. Like you're an experimenter. I think this is so I want to tell everyone like how Raj and I got to be friends. So we had met in New York years ago. Another mutual friend of ours, Sean Romanello, had hosted like this fitness dinner at in the meatpacking district at what's the name of that Mexican place? I forget. But Dos Caminos. And that was the first time I met Raj. And unfortunately, he did not human squat me. Raj does this thing where he picks up humans and squats them. So
I had to retire that, yo.
why?
Man, chicks was loving it too much. I realize it now that I know some stuff. I'm like, okay, of course you'd like that. All right, I can't just be meeting people like, hey, let me squat you.
That's hilarious. So
Uh,
you're forming some unhealthy attachments by squatting chicks.
yeah, it's like, hey, we gotta let's warm up first. Let's have a conversation.
Oh my God, hilarious. So, but, and then I guess probably like maybe a year or something like that later, I remember it was like actually right around this time. It was August of 2014. I even still remember where I was. I just get a random text message where you basically said something. It was like the adult version of being on the playground with the kid and being like, hey, want to be my friend? Because you were just like, hey, I want to know more about you. And you just started sending me random questions. And then we were just doing this for like days. And then we were talking about books. And then I was going through a breakup and you were going through a breakup. And we were kind of like processing, healing our hearts together. And then we're just, insatiable nerds for life and what's going on. And so that's kind of how this all evolved. And what I really love about you is you are so silly and you are so playful and so funny. And I don't have a lot of people in my life who I get to express that with. I have a lot of people in my life who like take it very seriously. So it's really, really exciting for me. I want to go back to something you said because I'm curious. So you said that's some real white people stuff.
Yeah.
And so what's fascinating to me about this is like, I feel this like self-consciousness and like oversensitivity, like this day and age, like being really careful. Like I don't want you to make you feel like you're like a token black guy on my show that I could just be like, you're black. Let me ask you all these questions about what's going on in our culture right now. I don't want to do that. But what fascinates me is that you can say something like that's some real white people stuff and we laugh about it. But I don't know that it would be as well or as humorously received if I was like, that's some real black people stuff.
Yeah, you know what? I would receive it well because I know you, and it's weird in the culture. It gets real squirrely.
It gets
Like
real
it's because
squirrely.
we're warmed up
Yeah,
through
yeah,
comedy. I think it's like,
yes.
oh, there's that funny white guy, and he talks like this, and wow, he does wacky things. It's that it's funny because it's like it's hard to explain it
Yeah,
why it's funny and why it works, but why it's not like it doesn't come from a racist place. It's
that's
just
right.
like, wow, white people are exploring lots of things. Maybe because there's lots of just Caucasian people doing things in the world that you see it, you're like, yo, he's doing like when parkour first came out, I was like, yo, that's wild. But it's cool. Like in the circle of friends I have, like I got black friends and they're doing weird shit too. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's white people shit. And they laugh. We laugh. We get it. But yeah, it is a weird like
But if you had to
reversal
define it, what is white people? Because wasn't there like a whole blog or like a whole like one of those
of stuff
funny
white people
books?
like.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is okay, if I had to define it,
And it
what
was
is
probably like pumpkin spice lattes,
uh,
Lululemon, Uggs, North
yeah.
Face jackets, and like I get it, and it's you're right. Squirrely is the word because you can't quite get a grip on it. You can't
Hmm.
quite describe it, and it's
Okay. Ooh, if I had to define it, okay, I've never had to define it. Let's do it. Let's come up with a definition. White people stuff would be white people pushing the boundaries of what is socially acceptable to do without giving a fuck about how they're perceived. I think that's a nice definition,
I think
but
it
it's true.
is,
Like when I
and
see it,
And then
I'm like,
there's like an extent to which it opens up a whole conversation about privilege that I don't actually feel like opening up right now, which is
mhm.
a fascinating thing maybe for another time.
Oh yeah,
And the reason I don't want to open it up is because I'd rather talk to you about fitness and habits and discipline, because
sure. Let's do it.
that's your wheelhouse, and that's also selfishly something I'm getting back into. I think I
Let's
told you
talk
this.
about. Yeah, I know you're like I'm deadlifting, son.
I'm, I'm so excited. I missed it. This body loves working out. I threw the baby out with the bathwater for a while.
Yeah, you went full left mode, and then you didn't come back to the right of the iron. What happened? What was that all about?
Um,
Get into it. If not,
it was kind of like we were talking about earlier. I swung a pendulum. I was kind of burnt out. And I'm curious how you feel about this. I really turned something that I had been passionate about my whole life, fitness. I played sports. I'd been working out since I was 12. Like literally, and I don't know if you know this about me, but I saw that TLC video for waterfalls. I was like, damn, look at their abs. How do I do that? I bought like a couple of VHS tapes, like Daisy Fuentes, Totally Fit, Buns of Steel, Abs of Steel. I had these purple 5-pound dumbbells. I don't even know what they were made
the
out of.
rock.
And I started working out when I was like 12. And I just loved fitness. It's not that I was like trying to lose weight or be skinny, but the idea of like being fit and strong and like able to do more things that at that age I was super into, which was mostly sports.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that meant something to me, and I really dug it. And I found a lot of like when people were going to college, gaining the freshman 15, I was like losing 10 pounds because I had a gym on campus, and I finally had
Yep.
like all this equipment and fun stuff. So I
I
always
didn't know
loved
that
it.
about you.
Yeah, and then when I turned it into my career, and it was no longer this thing or just like this habit, but like something I had to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was all this new like weird pressure that
Yeah,
lasted for me a couple years, I think like 4 years. And then I was like, oh man, I really don't want to do this anymore.
you took yourself out of the game. You're like, I'm out.
I
I
took
need to.
myself out of the game.
Yeah, I can relate to a degree. Like now, work like before there was several periods during the time when I was in the industry, I still am, but working out as well. It's just different once you're doing it as a career and a profession.
Yeah.
And I just kind of went through the motions, and I recently, about a year and a half ago, started jujitsu, and I'm doing way more of that than strength training, and it feels really good. Like maybe I'll do it once or twice a week, and I don't miss it yet, and I'm fine with not missing it. And it just feels good to get away from it. Like I can still help others reach their goals using the knowledge I've accumulated. But for my own personal practice, I don't want to spend time in the gym. I don't want if I do, it's really just talking to people and hanging out and not working out.
Yeah.
Like where I go, it's sad. Both gyms I go to, I'm notorious for like 2 hour workouts, doing 3 exercises, not sweating.
You're that guy?
I'm that dude. I'm that dude. But it's okay. It's okay
It
because
is okay.
people love it and I love it. And they said keep coming back. So it's not like they're like, this motherfucker's back again. I am
guy.
not about to work out.
You're like the guy where now that I'm back at the gym, there's actually this really lovely dude who will interrupt my workout and talk to me for like 5 minutes. And I'm into the Jill, our mutual friend Jill Coleman, those like 20 by 20 workouts that Jill has, like
Oh, you can't
20
be talking.
minutes in and out. You can't talk to me. My timer's running. I'm done in 20 minutes. I'll talk to you after. Come hit me up at 21 minutes. I'll talk to you for 5. It's fine.
But not at 19, son. Get out of here.
You're the guy. You're the guy.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's cool because I go to the places where I interned at, and it's like a loose, casual kind of environment. But yeah, I love it. I love not working out that hard.
So you bring up this really great point that, I think I said this already. I threw the baby out with the bathwater. So there was a piece of me. I don't know why I'm like this. I don't think it applies to everyone. And you're proof and a great example. Once I was no longer into fitness and like doing it myself, I actually felt wildly out of integrity to still be teaching it, but forgetting the years of knowledge I'd accumulated. Like I still knew.
Yeah, it's not like you forgot everything.
It's not like I forgot everything, but there was something in me. It's for some reason, it's really important to me that I have to be in the thing that I'm teaching or a couple steps ahead of the people. So that's a fascinating thing. But of course, like, cause you've worked and you've studied and you've gone to so many conferences, the continuing education, like your fitness knowledge is like, I always say I have a Mary Poppins bag of like transformational tools, right? And that's you with fitness, I'm sure, right?
Yeah. I feel like Batman. I got the Batman belt.
Utility belt, yeah.
Utility belt, yeah. I was like, do I have an umbrella that I float away on? Maybe I do.
Maybe I do.
Yeah. But yeah, it's when you mentioned what you just did about like feeling like you need to be in it, there is a certain degree of that helps, but I don't think you have to be in, like, I can help people get leaner than I am. That doesn't mean I have to be as lean as them to help them get there.
Correct.
And it's cool to see people in the industry that this sounds mean, but they don't have like fitness bodies. Like when you think of a fitness body, and it's not like disrespect. I just think of people like, yo, you don't have like a 6-pack. You might not even have a 4-pack, but you can help someone get there. And that's really what matters the most. But there is something about it where it feels kind of like you're almost a fraud, where if you're not doing the thing or you're not taking it to that level, that you feel like you shouldn't really teach it. Like, nah.
Yeah. And, I think that kind of speaks to our culture's obsession with the physical. Mm-hmm. Right? Because I remember the first gym that I ever worked in was New York Sports Club in Hoboken, New Jersey. And there was a trainer there who so knowledgeable, so incredible, was always up on all the tools, all the gadgets, the new stuff coming out, everything. And he was just like not a person that you would look at and think he did fitness. But so knowledgeable, his clients got amazing results. He actually had a lot of like older clients that he would help with rehab type stuff. But that fitness is definitely an industry where people judge the book by the cover. Yeah,
and it's kind of one of those situations where it's like it's hard to tease that, like it's hard to separate it because on one level if I were 500 pounds telling people how to lose weight, people probably wouldn't want to hear what I had to say.
Yeah.
And I understand it. I'm like, I get it. You got me. Or if someone was not funny trying to teach you how to be funny, you're like, what? No, your jokes are horrible. I'm not going to, no. So you have to have some level of something, but not the maximum level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And some kind of track record, right?
Yeah, exactly. Street cred.
So Can we talk about habits and discipline? Because like this is one of the things that I'm noticing. I wake up in the morning. I've figured out for myself, which like so this is a cool like little tip for anyone listening. You got to figure out like the best time of day for you to do whatever is the thing that you need to do, right? When you'll actually do it. For me, it's the morning. Like if I don't work out in the morning, the likelihood that it happens just diminishing throughout the course of the day. But and when I wake up, I don't necessarily want to. Like this morning, for example, I didn't want to, but I'm like, I'm going to. And then like by mid-workout, I'm like, I got my music on. I'm like dancing in between sets in my own world, like right in the middle of the equinox, having a friggin' blast. And I'm like, I'm so glad I'm doing this. 35 minutes ago, this is not what I wanted to be doing. So like you've worked with enough people and you've been doing this for enough years. I know you have some mindset stuff. How do you help people show up? Because I think that's all it is. I think it's literally just about show up. Just get your ass to the thing that you need to be doing. It's not even about all the other stuff. How do you help people with that? Or what's your advice there?
So I have several things in my head that make sense again, kind of like dick magic. So we'll see if they work here. So I like to use just the tip approach for fitness. Like when people are starting off, people want to go hard right out of the gate.
Right.
Even if they don't have even if their track record says every time they do that, they fall off and they stay off for months, years,
Right.
who knows? But it's something about like mentally, they're like, I just want to, okay, day one, we are doing all the workouts. I'm getting all the food I need. Boom, boom, boom. So I like to, like, even if they're in that place, good. But I still like to start off and go, hey, we're just the tips. Start as low as you need to get a win. Like for some people, I'm like, hey, just put your shoes on, put your gym shoes on. So it's like for some of my clients, it's been that like they have everything they need, but they just don't execute on any of it. So it's like, hey, all right, you got your gym shoes on. If you don't go to the gym, you took one ridiculously small step that you were able to achieve. And hey, tomorrow you can do it. Maybe you go outside the house. All right, you put your shoes on, go outside. You may not even walk. You may just go out on the porch and look around and be like, it's a nice day. All right. But at least it gets the wheels going.
Yeah.
And if some people do need to start that small, others it's not that bad at all. But I like to kind of temper their expectations. Like, hey, this is going to take time. It's going to take effort, but it probably is going to take a lot less effort than you think you've built it up to in your head.
Yeah.
So just starting super small, like the step over the broomstick, not even the hurdle. It's like broomstick, ta-da, and then raise it slowly, slowly, slowly. It's almost like I don't know if this is a true thing about frogs, where if you turn up the temperature enough, slowly enough, they don't realize they're boiling. I've never done it. I read it in a book. Sounded like it could be true, but the the action, the essence of the message is the same. It's just like small, slow steps. It's unsexy, but at least then you'll build the habit versus continuing to run up against resistance and go, oh, I didn't work out today. I'm going to not work out for a week.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
So this is awesome because I've certainly, over the last 3 years, as I've made many attempts to consistently get back into fitness, I've done exactly what you just described. I've gone all in. Actually, probably like about a year ago, I tried CrossFit.
You went all in.
If you haven't been working out and the first thing you go back to do is CrossFit, I have never been that sore in my life. It was so demoralizing. I was angry.
Yeah.
I was angry. I'm like, this is ridiculous. And I wasn't mad at me. I was mad at CrossFit. I'm like, someone should have asked me. Someone should have been like, hey, what have you been doing before I have you do like 375 squats today with your ass hitting a big medicine ball? It just like didn't make sense. But I'm the one who did it and I knew better and it was fascinating, right? Okay, so yeah. First of all, I love that you called it the just the tip method because that's hilarious. But this makes so much sense. And thank you for acknowledging that it's unsexy because people want all the results they want it now. We're in the instant gratification culture, but that is not sustainable. It's just straight up not sustainable. So it's like, do it more days than you didn't, right? Like all the habits. I also noticed this when I try to do all the habits at once. I'm going to clean up my food. I'm going to start working out. In the month of August, I gradually all right, let me start getting my smoothie in the morning routine going again. And just let me do these workouts. And that was it. And I did it more days than I didn't. And that was my win. You just got to accumulate some wins.
Yeah, and you just got to rack them up, stack on stack on stack. And the thing is, it's like you said, if you try and focus on too many things at once, all of them are going to fall apart. And I think just there's a big myth of like multitask. I've heard that women are better at it, but I don't think anyone's really good at it. Everyone's kind of shitty at multitasking.
Yeah.
It's like you're not giving your all to any one thing if you're trying to do everything. And that's what people really try to do with fitness. They try to, I'm cleaning up the diet, all of it. I'm going from McDonald's to kale today. What? I'm going from no, not working out to CrossFit today, son. I'm drinking from pop, I'm drinking water forever. And they just get tired by the third hour into the day
Yeah.
and they're back to square one. And they just feel defeated. And that's what I really want to help people avoid is that feeling of defeat so early on.
Yes. Yes. Well, and I think it's because there's no foundation, right? That's like if you've been eating like crap and you're like, oh, let me do a 3-day juice cleanse. You're literally going to have the worst headache you've ever had in your life because your body's detoxing and you've done nothing to prep it. So yeah, I think this is what people do. And it kind of goes back to the idea of the pendulum swing, but you didn't set any foundation for yourself. You really didn't set yourself up for success in any way. So I've heard this in a couple different places, certainly a Tim Ferriss podcast. I heard my coach Siobhan say something about this recently, how in the military, the reason they make their bed in the morning is so they literally can start the day with a win.
Yeah, that I wrote about, like I saw a video a couple years ago about it. It was a military person. I don't know the rank. He had a lot of stripes and hats and stuff. He was talking about that. It's like, yeah, you just start. It's something about starting your day with a win that just builds that momentum. It gives you that first win.
Yes.
And have you heard of a Jocko Willink? He's a military veteran.
I think I have.
Yeah, his is just the alarm. So it's even before the bed. Like a bed is action. Alarm, like getting up in the morning at the time you say you're going to. That's also an action. That's even harder, but in a way easier because it's like, all you got to do, son, is open your eyes when that noise goes off and just flop on the floor. And you did it. You wanted to go back to sleep, but you got out of that bed. You got to win before you even know what's going on.
Yeah, actually, that's fascinating. So I've never really been a snooze button person, but Michael is. And I
Yo.
remember being like, why don't you just set your alarm for 30 minutes later instead
Because
of...
we wanna, I rise to the occasion, but then when it comes, we're like, fuck that.
Then you don't. And then I'm like really not impressed with you.
See? Yeah. And have you told him that?
Well,
Have
no,
you told
actually,
him that?
that's actually one of the motivators many months ago. I don't know if you know this about us, but even when we were living in our old place, we had separate rooms. After a while, I was like, I think if I could just sleep in my own room, I think a lot of things will be better in my life and in this relationship. So we started doing that. And that was actually one of the reasons for me, because I was like, I'm going to wake up. Like, I don't need 5 snooze buttons.
And then I'm gonna see you not wake up, and I'm gonna kind of not be as attracted as I was before this alarm went off.
Kind of. And I actually, so the thing is, I don't actually think he does it anymore. Yeah. Oh, so super fascinating. She said something about momentum, and this is a metaphor lately that makes this point land. It makes a lot of sense. So imagine something with a crank, and like there are very few things. We have to do so few things manually anymore in the year 2016. You might be like, what has a crank? Imagine
What is this? Is this a drawbridge?
Like yeah, like a drawbridge, like an old school car.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, right. But like those first few turns of the crank are exponentially more difficult because you're starting with no momentum, no motion, from zero, right? So like this is why even those little habits, like I get that people want to deep dive in and like go full force. And again, the success rate on that is much lower because they didn't just like turn those, they kind of ignored the first few turns of the crank, right? So those little habits that built up then got you in like the groove and the momentum, and then you can stay in action. And then it's just like easier once you've accumulated a couple of wins or several wins over time. And then you're like, oh, it's easier now to get up. It's easier now to not hit the snooze button because I've been doing it for a couple days or a couple weeks or a couple months.
Yeah. Even mentally, you're like, there's a part of, at least for me, there's a part of me, like once I stack some wins, I'm like, I don't want to stop winning. Why would I stop winning? That's dumb. I feel so good to be winning every day on a little level. And then once you build that momentum, you start to take on more challenging tasks.
Yep.
And and that's the thing. It takes time, which is unsexy. But like I'm just here to hammer the basic stuff that works, because even the masters they're masters at the basics. That's why they're masters. Like if they skip the basics, like there's no like a 9-year-old calculus professor. Like, what? You're 9. You didn't go through all the steps. Stop.
Right.
Come back in come back in like 20, 30 years when you've done the steps you need to get good at this thing.
Yeah, yeah, and it's so I know you and I love Bruce Lee, but he says something along the lines of like, I don't fear the man who's done 10,000 kicks. I feel the man who's done one kick 10,000 times.
Yep. And it's perfect. And he was that dude. And it's really strange when I think about he only had like 4 movies when I think about it, but it feels like he had a million because he was just that electric. But
Mm-hmm.
he wrote about like in his writings, he had his workouts and they were lots of basic stuff. And people don't see that. They see the flashy jump kick to the light bulb smashing on people's heads, but but they don't see all the work that came before it.
That's right. Oh my, and our culture, God, our culture is so much like that now, right? Especially with social media. Like I remind people in everything. And so what we're talking about it in the context of fitness, but this applies to anything. So like if you're someone who's been wanting to get into meditation practice and you think you're going to go from not meditating at all to sitting for 30 minutes a day, you might like, there's a very small percentage of people that actually are wired like that. You probably could do that. My dad's someone like that. Fun fact, many, many years ago when I was like a little baby, my dad had a drinking problem. And the doctor said to him, if you continue to drink, you'll die. And then that was it. He left that office that day and never drank again. Most people like never went to a meeting, never did anything. Like, boom, he was like, oh, I'll die. Okay, done.
Yep.
Most people don't have that kind of like discipline, will, like whatever. So like
Yeah,
you start with 5 minutes a day.
Grabs you. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like,
totally. And so this is something Siobhan says too that I love. It's like get addicted to the result and let the result in the context that we're talking about here just be the win. It's like just checking something off a list. Cool, I meditated today. I didn't meditate for 30 minutes. It was 5, but I did it. All right,
yeah.
you know what? Maybe I sit for 7 tomorrow or something, but like you're building on it. Okay, I only ate 2 crappy meals today and I had 1 good one. Maybe tomorrow I'll eat 2 good ones and 1 meh. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. It's fun. Like even with I've had to do the same approach with my own eating. Like when I go out to eat, man, French fries, they're delicious. When they're offered, I'm definitely going to get them every time. It's funny, like usually they say, oh, you get a side and a salad. I'm like, guess what? I'm not getting that salad. Can I get extra fries? Because I saved you. And they go, of course. So at some point I realized I'm like, hey, I want to be alive and see my kids and stuff when I make them. So let's have some fries and then also get a side of vegetables with it. Because normally if I just got no fries and all vegetables, I'd be pissed I didn't get the fries. Wouldn't eat the vegetables, and I'd order the fries anyway, just to spite myself. And it makes no sense. But it was like, all right, let's get this win. You get what you want. You also get something you know you need. All right, let's start here and progress forward
Yeah,
from that.
I love that. And Jill talks about that too, right? She calls it preemptive cheats. It was actually really funny because it was just, at the time we're recording this, it was just Labor Day weekend. And Jill had posted a picture over the weekend. She's like, you know what I love about holiday weekends? Eating the same way I do every other weekend of the year.
I picture her just like drinking a glass of wine with her foot on a box like Captain Morgan. Just, that's,
And like,
yeah.
it's this kind of thing where you're right. I think we want the fancy, the flashy, let me do this. Maybe I need this method because so many of us, that's been programmed into us, right? Like if you look at magazine covers, and I was talking to someone about this recently, even knowing better, like I trained many years in fitness. I'm like, ooh, should I grab that? Do I need those 10 steps? I could lift this almost 33-year-old booty a little bit. Who knows? Maybe I could look like a 22-year-old again. So,
Right.
But
You
no,
get caught up in it.
you
You're like, man, all this knowledge doesn't help. I'm still susceptible if I'm not.
Because it's still psychology. Like they know the way like the mind works, the brain works and stuff like that. So the basics, it's not sexy, but it works.
Yeah, there's this phrase I heard, I don't know where I heard it from. It wasn't in relation to fitness or anything, but it's called killing the revolution. I'm like, ooh, I like that. That's good. Because that's what people do. They want that montage. As soon as they want that Rocky montage where he looks in the mirror and he crumples the picture and he's on the mountain the next day. And it's like, that's not what people need. Because if that would have worked, you would have done it already. So
That's
let's
right.
slow that shit down, son.
If that would have worked, you would have done it already. It's so true. And people want the hero story. So it's like, just be a hero, be a hero of the basics, be a champion of consistency. And again, it's not, it
Let's
might
hype
be
it
the
up though. Let's
sexiest
make
thing
it
in the
sexy.
world. Let's make it sexy. Wear those $98 yoga pants. That's what I do.
Yeah, yo, you got you the Lulu chick? You like
You know
that?
what? I'm not into Lululemon. There's just like a lot of other more indie brands that are just like the
Nice.
cool patterns and the colors like that. That just makes it more fun for me. And I think that's another thing. I don't know if this is something you teach people, but just like make it more fun for you. Like get some loud, wild sneakers that, you know what I mean? Like sometimes, like you were saying, just put on your shoes. There have been times when I've wanted to like get into something or start, and I'm like, let me just get a new pair of sneakers. Let me get a couple pairs of workout pants. Like, let me get something like fresh
Yeah.
that might make it feel more fun and exciting to show up for the thing. But it's
Yeah.
basically how many different ways can we trick ourselves into showing up?
Yeah, that's the game. Show up. How how many ways can you trick yourself into taking action? It's funny you mentioned that the workout gear because I thought you remember like the first day of school. That was like the best day as a kid.
Yes.
I got book bag is new. I got fresh shoes. I got this new outfit. What? You got to kind of treat it like that to a degree.
Yeah.
And I was in a coaching program back in '09. That's how I got into fitness with precision nutrition. And one of the things they had us do was buy new workout outfits. And I was like, oh. I just wore crappy shorts. All right, let me buy some Under Armour. And I
Yeah.
still have it to this day, and I still feel like a ninja when I put it on. I'm
Yeah.
like, yep, should have done that. I just felt good putting it on.
It
It's like a
makes a
superhero
difference. It makes a
suiting up.
difference.
Yeah. And there's just different, and like you said, just tricking. That's a great way. Just tricking your way into showing up every day. And then eventually you're not tricking yourself anymore because you're doing it. And you're like, oh, yeah.
Right? Even something like getting yourself a nice blender, like splurge for something like a Vitamix or a Ninja. Like obviously there's all the different price points, but like upgrade your Hamilton Beach blender and get yourself like a Ninja or a Vitamix. Because then even for people where it's like a little bit of a stretch to spend the money, you're going to want to use it every day because you're going to want to get your money's worth.
Yeah. That can relate to people or connect with people on different levels. Like, hey, you're not motivated emotionally. Let's get you financially invested. You
Yeah.
spent $500 on this blender. You better be making some
You
bomb
you
shakes,
better use
okay?
that shit. Yeah.
Don't let it collect dust, or you're going to be upset.
Yeah. So for people listening, this is probably an interesting thing for you to sit down and do and go, what motivates me? Is it that I need to put money on the line? Is it that I need to do something fresh or do something new? Maybe it's like pulling on the Under Armour or pulling on the nice workout shirt, something that's going to make me feel a way that's going to help me show up more often or more consistently or not quit. And don't be ashamed of it. You know, like I think sometimes people get up in their head and they're like, well, I shouldn't need to do that. But guess what? I don't care if you should or shouldn't need to do it. If you do, and it's going to get you to show up, just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like just let go of that bag. It's like, hey, this is you want to do this for you.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't like don't fight yourself to do the thing you want to do. Just make it easy. Go, hey, all right. Do I need this? All right. Okay, all right. Let's do it. And then you're like, oh, this feels amazing. Why didn't I do it sooner? And you just laughing eventually because you're like, you look back and you realize you're like, oh, that's all I need to do was buy some
Yeah.
new shoes and feel pumped up or buy a new outfit or even sometimes go to a new gym. Sometimes you hate the gym you work
Yes.
out at. Yeah, it's just that energy there. It's people just are. I've had some clients. They've had memberships for years. They've been paying for and have not gone.
Yep.
And then you dig deeper. They're like, yeah, I just really don't like the atmosphere. I'm like, hey, all right, let's get you to Planet Fitness for $10 a month just to get you started.
Yeah.
All right, good. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I actually like working out. Who would
Yeah.
have thought? Yep.
Yeah, I joined. I was so excited. This has actually been a huge momentum shift for me. They opened at Equinox, and if anyone lives in a part of the country or the world where they don't have Equinox, it's like it's like a luxury. They won't even call it a gym. It's a fitness club, you guys. So,
It's an experience.
but it really, honestly, it really is. It just feels so good. You walk in there. There's like a eucalyptus steam room. They have this refrigerator with cold eucalyptus towels for after
It's like
your
you're on an
workout.
it's like you're on an airplane. They come
You're
by
in
with that crisp
first
towel.
class. Yeah. And so I love it. And so I'll show up. I'll go for that. I call it like my Luxy gym. Feels
Yep.
great. They don't have that many yoga classes, so the yoga studio is usually empty. So I'll even grab a couple weights and I'll just go in the yoga studio. And then I feel like I have this place to myself. It feels, and the cool thing is, it also feels like affluent. It feels prosperous. So to be having that energy and my workout, it's just like getting all the good vibes and all the good feels going on. Then I
Yeah.
sit in the steam room. Like I leave there feeling fresh, baller, and like all the things I want to feel that help
Fresh to
me
death, son. Fresh
show
to
up.
death.
Yeah, like I just like I want more of that in my life. Why would I not immerse myself in an environment that feels better?
Yeah, that
Right?
supports you. Yeah, like you don't need like that's a dingy gym where one light bulb's swinging from the ceiling. That's not for you. That's
Yeah.
not your style.
That's not my style. For some
Some
people it
people,
might be though. Some people
yeah, exactly.
might want that like that greedy. Whatever it is, find your environment, find your space, find your people. So I know you recently, I love this. I get a text message from Rog, you guys listening. Should I read the Queen's Code? So people who've been listening to the podcast for any period of time have heard me mention the Queen's Code, maybe have listened to the Alison Armstrong interview. Did you listen? Did you listen to
No,
when I interviewed her?
no, I tried to stay. Like I listened to one episode when you first released back in the day, and
Uh-huh.
then I hadn't listened. And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to be on. I should listen to stuff." And I said, "No, I want to be like that." Question you asked at the beginning caught me off guard,
Yeah,
so
I
I'm
love that
glad I didn't have
actually.
time to prepare. So no, I did not.
Cool, cool, cool. If you feel like it, she's so adorable, Alison Armstrong. It was a really fun interview. But so you read the Queen's Code, and as a dude, I remember being like, yeah, like it literally can't hurt because why? To understand like where women are coming from, and perhaps even open up and have some compassion, and understand if a woman is being emasculating, why she's doing it and where it's coming from. She's not just like this cold-hearted bitch. She literally, in a lot of cases, doesn't even know she doesn't know what she's doing. What did you? So I'm curious. What did you get out of the Queen's Code as a man?
A lot of it spoke to just like we are like men. I'm like, yeah, we do want to provide and protect and all this, and we're in that way. It really just highlighted like, yeah, we're kind of simple to that degree. Like positive reinforcement, like even just something simple as just saying like thank you for something that we did. It's like, oh wow, I want to keep doing more of that, and
Yeah.
that's and it's just such a like I get a kick out of it, like even just with friends, um, and especially when it's appreciated, it's like I want to keep doing more of that. Like I'll go out of my way to do that. Like it's funny, like example, like holding the door. Like I'll do it in general, but sometimes I'm like, man, I'm at this door 10 seconds before this person's gonna be here. I could easily walk away. I'm gonna stay here though. They got bags in their hand. And in that moment, it could go two ways. It could go one where they walk through and don't even say anything. And I'm like, yo, I don't get upset or annoyed often in life, but I'm like, that's right up there with not giving the hand when you let somebody in the traffic.
I was just thinking that. No
I'm
one
like,
does
son,
that anymore. Just me and you.
I'm like, yeah, I'd put two hands up. I'm like, I want you to make sure. I'm gonna roll down my window, put it out so you see it, hold it for 5 seconds, and thumbs up. But it could go that way.
I actually have a sign, like one of those auction signs in my car that
So
says thank you on the back so people can see.
you
I don't,
should
but that's a good idea.
just press a button, it pops off the hood of your car. Thank you. And then, yeah, so it could go that way, or when they get to the door and they're like, "Oh, thank you," or just a simple thank you. I'm like, "You're welcome," and I just felt like I did such a good job. I'm like,
Yeah.
I didn't have to, I wanted to, and it was acknowledged. My day's better.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's kind of like we were talking about earlier, wins, racking up the wins. And Alison
mhm.
in the book, she calls it like men play for points. I don't think that just men do that. I think you're right. It's like that, oh man, I did something like it made a difference. Like it helped someone, like just like these
Mhm.
small, tiny efforts.
Yeah,
Cool. And how did
yeah.
it, was there any, were you able to reflect? I'm totally projecting this question is, it's okay if the answer is no. But as I was reading it, I was just like, it was like my relationship history was flashing before my eyes of like all the times and all the ways I've been super emasculating. Was there any experience like that for you of like acknowledging,
Oh,
remembering like times and ways that this has actually been done to you or happened to you and like what happened or?
yeah. And I was like, damn, this book played out in my life.
Yeah.
Because it's funny when it's kind of cringeworthy. Like you're reading, you're like, ugh, this is oof. Glad this is not now. Glad I'm reading
Mm-hmm.
this book. Glad I'm getting this information. Because like I thought about, I'm like, what if I kept living like this, or what if I kept being in relationships like that? I'm like, man, I would hate my life,
Yeah.
and this is the only life I got. Life is too short for that nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was very eye opening in that respect, and it's fun. Like when they mentioned like how we respond when being emasculated in that way. I was like, oh, maybe not. And then I thought about it, I was like, yeah, definitely. That's 100%. It's like, that's when the claws come out, son. I
Yeah.
feel like Wolverine. I'm like, let's go. You want to do this? We are going there. This is when you say stuff that you will never be able to take back.
You can't unhear that stuff.
Exactly.
So you've gone on, and I remember it because I feel like it was probably the beginning-ish when we first started like having our conversations and answering our random text message questions with each other and getting to know each other a couple years ago. I feel like that was kind of the beginning-ish of your exploration into actual, not even just personal development, but masculinity. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
14.
2014. Yep, that was the year.
So
I remember it.
I know you've done the School for Men with Michael. I know you've read a ton of books. You've gone to that meditation thing. What else? What's been like your course of study? Because, men do listen to the podcast, even though it is geared towards women, but we're really opening up and the work is evolving. A lot more men are tuning in. I have a lot more men on the podcast too. So if there's a man listening who is like, yeah, I want to learn about this stuff. I mean, I remember, I know you've read like the No More Mr. Nice Guy, Way of the Superior Man. What would you say, a lot of Bruce Lee stuff, would have been top 3 to 5, like the pivotal books or programs that you've done that have really helped you kind of come to know yourself and come into your own as a man?
Ooh, all right, top 3 to 5. We're gonna remix. It's gonna be books, experiences,
Cool. Yeah, whatever you
and
want.
everything. Okay, so and not in any order. So we'll just list 5. So The Way of the Superior Man, definitely, fantastic. It gets woo. Like you go to that last section of the book, it gets woo. So take it as you. My advice to men listening is like take that book as it comes. Like, hey, if a chapter doesn't resonate with you, skip it. Go to one that does.
Yeah.
And see how you can apply it to your life. Hold On to Your Nuts. That's a great book by Wayne Levine.
I've never heard of that.
Yo, it's
What
adorable.
is it about?
It's got a squirrel on the cover with nuts.
Come on, that's amazing.
So it's about like defining your what you stand for essentially, and holding on to it in a relationship. Because boy, let me tell you, I was horrible at that. I had shitty boundaries. I'd be like, "Oh, this makes you upset. Well, I won't do it ever again." Even
Yeah.
and then you look up, you're like, "What? Who am I?" So it's a great book for men, like in terms of relationships, romantic and just in life, just defining what matters for you and really defining it, not like having 1,000 item list of things that kind of don't matter that you just want to nitpick on. Maybe like 5 or 6 things that do, and it makes it so easy because if it's not on that list, you're like, oh, I can whatever. All right, this is not the sword I'm going out on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this, I'm not about to when keeping it real goes wrong for this one. So that martial arts, definitely that would be, ooh, if I had to rank it, that'd be number 1, just because it's so I've learned so much about myself that you can't learn otherwise. It's an experiential learning. It's it's not a lot of words. It's just you have to do it. And the more you do it, the more you learn. It's like a rabbit hole. The deeper you go down into it, the more you learn about yourself and others, how you relate to others. Awesome. So that's up there. The towel.
Wait, I'm gonna interrupt you for a moment. So last year, Jesse Elder has been on the podcast, and Jesse used to teach martial arts for many years. He owned martial arts studios, and he was my business coach last year. And day 1, when you go for a weekend intensive with Jesse, day 1 is Fight Club for Entrepreneurs. And he takes you into like the MMA place. He gets you with gloves, and you're doing all these drills. It's like an hour, but it's super intense. And what was so cool about it is you really do. When you are put into physically intense situations, because that saying that I resisted for years because I didn't want it to be true, how you do anything is how you do everything. You notice when you stop, you notice when you quit, you notice when you talk yourself out of like, I could do this, or what you're afraid of or not wanting to get hurt, or when the clock is ticking down, who are you in the last 10 seconds? Are you the person that's like finding that little bit of more energy and you're going all out across the finish line? Or are you like easing back and just not going
just
all
hold
in?
it, like just don't kill me. Yep.
Totally. Are you comparing yourself to other people in the group? Are you like feeling shitty about if you're not as good as it as other people? Are you able to stay in your own lane? Like the plethora of lessons available in a context like a martial arts or any like physically intense things. It's not because we can read books, we can think and we can conceptualize all day, but to have heartfelt, intense experience actually shows you literally what you're made of and how you're showing up for things.
Yeah, and the focus on that, it's like it goes back to Bruce Lee's like life is not to be conceptualized, it's to be lived. It's like you can read all these books, you can get all these workout programs you'll never do, but until you do it, and there's something about the experience that if you're aware and open to it, it'll teach you everything you need to know in that moment to learn more the next moment and the next moment.
Yes.
And it's just you have to be aware. You can't be, and that's honestly, I don't know if I was never really into sports growing up, but I feel like jujitsu is very different from any other martial arts because there's no space. There's not any, like boxing, your length of your arm, that's the distance. You come in, you hit someone in the face. But son, had you ever heard someone's heartbeat? Son, son, I heard someone's heartbeat. I'm like, oh, he's nervous. Oh, this is great. And then knowing they're nervous, I'm like, I got this motherfucker. It's different, and I'm like, yo, I've only heard the heartbeats of women that I was intimate with. I'm like, oh, that's adorable. But then I'm like, yo, oh, okay. And you just learn, you listen,
That's cool.
and anyone out there that's looking to explore that, definitely recommend you. Just can't recommend it enough.
I want to ask you one other question related to that. What was, if you can recall, or just whatever comes up first, what's one of the most humbling lessons you've learned in jiu-jitsu?
You're always going to be relatively shitty compared to how you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
There's always someone above you. Like it's recently I've started to get better at jiu-jitsu. But it's funny. It's only because I'm training every day with the same people. We all get better at close enough to the same rates. So I really only realize it when newer people come in, and I go, "Oh, that's how I was."
Yeah, cool.
Oh, so and you just can't really have too much of an ego because it's getting chipped away every day,
Yeah.
and it makes just life easier because you're getting choked out 5 times a week. You can't really like believe your own hype too much.
Yeah. Cool. You were going to say something about the Tao?
Yes, yep, the Tao Jeet Kune Do. Boy, that like if I could give anyone a book, it would be that book. For the first and last 10 pages, there's a lot of martial arts like stance and like technique in the middle and things like that. But his philosophy at the beginning and the end, it can be applied to any aspect of life just because he was so introspective and he was looking to bring out the best in himself. So he was always asking himself these questions
And is that a Bruce Lee book?
Mm-hmm, yep.
Cool. I'm only sorry. We do show notes, so we'll put links. All the books Raj is mentioning will be on the show notes page, which we gave you guys the link for in the beginning of the show. So I just wanted to double make sure that we had that right.
Perfect. Thank you. So there's that. Hold on to your nuts. The Way of the Superior Man, and also King by Elliot Hulse. I think that's one of the most comprehensive books for men looking to kind of really get in touch with that aspect of themselves. It talks about strength training, meditation, purpose. So it's a nice primer for all this stuff to start with if someone wants something that's a bit more accessible.
Cool. Yeah. So what's interesting is, for anyone listening, whether you're a man or whether you're a woman, and I think there's value the same way Raj picked up the Queen's Code to get a better perspective on relationship and women in general. Like many years ago, I read The Way of the Superior Man, and I was like, oh, I learned a ton from that book. Just because these books are, for men doesn't mean like men have to read them. The King thing sounds fascinating. That's like a word that's been coming up a lot lately. I think a lot of men are like actually wanting to really step into that king archetype. And this is also Alison Armstrong's The Amazing Development of Men, which is an audio. I don't think it's a book. I learned a lot in terms of like the phases the men have to work through, which is like it goes page, knight, prince. There's a couple different phases of prince and then king. And what's fascinating is I've been observing lately a lot of men, and there's a pretty common age range. It's like in the 20s to 30s. It's like they want to skip straight to king because a lot of men are associating king with actually only making money. Mm-hmm. And not all the other ways, like being provider, being protected, being more, I don't love the term well-rounded, but like a solid man, like in integrity, which is where the pieces like meditation, what's your relationship to God or the divine or whatever is your context for something bigger than you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like all those integrated pieces. It's not just great. You can make a lot of money and you could provide. There's a lot more that goes to being a fully embodied king.
Yeah, and aspects of they touch on that in the aspects of the in that King book because there's different archetypes that taken to the extreme are like, oh, you're that's like the lover archetype, and then there's like fully realized, and then kind of the shadow aspects of it. It's really cool
Yeah.
how they go into it, and it connects in a way like before it was I might not have understood it, but having had the experiences I have and read what I had, I'm like, okay, it makes sense, and it's cool. I like it.
Nice.
I like that that's the direction I'm going in these days.
So you have a podcast. What's your podcast called?
Sexification radio.
And what's it about?
Well, honestly, I just really like talking to interesting people. It's gonna change a lot in the future. Right now, it's fitness oriented ish, but I want to talk to authors. I want to talk to just people that are doing stuff in the world. Whatever you're excited about, I want to talk with you about it and learn more about it. Like I want to have people that are hunting on there. I want to have people that are doing different martial arts on there. Just like authors, one of my favorite books, Top Dog. I'd love to have the author of that on there, and it's really just conversations with interesting people.
Yeah.
And then I add some of myself into it to keep it a little entertaining. And then
Yeah.
if there's someone like our vibe, I love our vibe. Like we could easily go on for who knows how long. And it would not be boring for the listeners. That's what I
That's right.
worry about podcasting. I'm like, what? I hope this is not boring for the listeners when I do it.
Oh, that's funny. I
So,
never worry about that.
see,
I mean, I
you're
just
better than
trust
me.
that people are going to show up. They're going to get what they need. If they don't like it, like you're an adult, press stop on it and listen to the next one. You know?
Yeah, I like that. That's my new philosophy. If you hate it, press fast forward, son.
And so your website, it's roglawfitness.com, yeah?
Yep. And then if you want to talk to me on Facebook, honestly, that's the only place I am. Twitter, Instagram. So Facebook.com/Rog Law. That's where I'm at.
And you write great stuff. I love, super cool story for people listening or watching, by the way. My brother was
Oh,
not really ever into fitness. And the last time I went home, this kid had already lost like 20 or 30 pounds. And then he's just like still going. He's like, we got him a Fitbit for his birthday. He was so pumped up. And I'm like, what got you into this? He's like, I just read this post that Raj wrote on Facebook one day that was about like, not I have to work out, I get to work out. And that just for whatever reason clicked something into place for my brother. And he's been on it's been he's probably like 4 or 5, 6 months in, and he's like doing amazing.
man, that makes me so happy. He sent me a message when he's like, "Yo, son, I'm down 10 pounds," just out of nowhere.
That's
Like
so
I hadn't
funny.
messaged him in forever. And I was like, "Oh, all that came from just putting some words into a thing and pressing post."
It's
Okay, I
great.
can keep doing that.
That's the miracle of social media. And you know what's cool is so Raj and my brother have never met, but Raj could be a member of our family. Like we obviously have the same sense of humor, like such a kinship. And so I had introduced him and Mikey. Mikey's my brother. And for a while we had like a three-way text message going where we would just send each other the most inappropriate crap, like
That we
hilarious.
can't send to anyone else.
It's the kind of thing that gets me thinking about privacy and being like, man, if anyone ever hacked my text messages with you or my brother, they'd be like, you're the worst person. And I'm not. But sometimes like you just can't take life so
Funny is
it's like
funny.
that Van Wilder quote, right? Like you can't take life so seriously, you'll never get out alive. But I do
Yep.
notice as I do become more aware and conscious and like my views and opinions change on things and I'm more aware of like the vibration of words and language. I don't think some things are funny that I used to, which makes me a little sad, but at the same time, even music, like I always used to growing up in fitness, like my fitness playlists were always like hip hop. Hip hop would
Yeah.
be like DMX, like those
Yeah.
Joe Budden, Pump It Up, like stuff like
Yep.
that, or the Onyx, right? Slam.
hmm
And
Annie up. Yep.
Annie Up, that's the one.
That's it. I
So
know.
I
You just get hype
can't,
in the car. You're like,
you
I'm about to
can't.
throw myself out the window.
You hear those first couple notes and you're like losing your shit. Wait, did you just say I'm about to throw myself out the window?
Yeah. I hope you pictured it just like
I did. It doesn't make sense. And I
good.
pictured it on the highway. And that's
Exactly.
when keeping it real goes wrong. It just there's nothing good can happen from that. But anyway, but if you actually listen to the words, I can't have that in my ears all the time. So I've been trying to figure out better things to listen to, but I don't know.
Yo. Yeah, I understand. I understand. There's like my workout music these days, it's more like Justin Timber, like R&B.
Yeah.
I got some jazz. I got a lot of drums, like
Yeah.
just straight up
I love
instrumentals.
drums. Yeah.
Because I don't need to be like just the words. They sneaking in. Like even if you're not really listening to them, I'm like, eh, It's just mad disrespectful, son. Come
Big
on, I
time.
can't
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I get you.
Cool. All right. I love you so much. Thank you. This was super fun. This is for people listening. This was kind of an all over the place, a different kind of episode, but we did focus on some really important stuff. So I hope you guys liked it. I hope you enjoyed a more fun. This was super fun.
Yo, I don't see you nearly often enough, so this was
It's
amazing.
ridiculous how
How little I see your
little I
face.
see your face. We'll talk about that offline. But people listening, follow Raj if you want more of the sexification of Rog Law. So good. Thanks, friends.
Thank you, friend. Love you.
Talk to you later.
I just always knew that if I kept in motion and I kept making these choices in alignment with my higher self and divine right order, it would work out. So in Hong Kong, I mean, I had a great job and I made good money, but living there is very expensive. And I just, it was a lot of faith, a lot of manifesting, and a lot of work. Like really, I worked my butt off. And that's, if I would say anything now when I'm manifesting to kind of create more ease and work less, which is really great. And it wasn't always easy. I mean, there were times where I was like, is this going to freaking work? When I moved back to the States in 2006, we settled in Michigan because I knew I could play some flute with my friends at the Detroit Symphony. And I picked the city of Grosse Pointe, Michigan to open a yoga studio. It took me a year and a half. I worked at a store called Moose Jaw, folding sweatshirts for $8.35 an hour so that I could bring in something while I kept crafting this dream. The build out was going up across the street and I'm here for, and there were times I'm like, what freaking A, I got a master's degree. I've been on stages all over the world, but this is what I was doing because it put food on the table. And then I was able to teach some flute. And then finally, everything just fell into place.